Bethesda, Bethesda, Bethesda. Some people love to hate on Todd Howard. I, on the other hand, hate to love his game studio, which has produced one single title since I've been legally allowed to vote. For context, I'm in my mid-20s now. I'm at the point where people I went to high school with are getting married, and I can't even think it's irresponsible anymore. It's just two adults doing adult things now. Quarter-life crisis aside, Bethesda Game Studios has steadily declined since their golden era in the late 2000s to mid-2010s, and it has a lot of people confused, angry, or just flat-out schizophrenic. People have gotten increasingly skeptical, or just blatantly negative towards Bethesda lately for a number of reasons. The failure that was Starfield, never committing to a concrete release date for the new Elder Scrolls title, or dropping the millionth Skyrim port, but this time for your smart toaster. To be clear, all of these things do warrant criticism. I mean, objectively, for a game studio of that size to release one title within an 8-year window, that's pretty bad. What's even worse is the game was just not good. I mean, some people might enjoy Starfield, I guess. I mean, I really wanted to. I just couldn't find it compelling. There were no stakes, no interesting characters, no identity to the world you're in. Which honestly makes me a little sad. I mean, I grew up playing Skyrim and Fallout 4, and in a way those worlds became a home away from home for me. Whenever real life started to suck, I knew I could just boot up my PlayStation and have a great time killing the Railroad or joining the Thieves Guild in Riften. Now, fortunately, we've had some other game studios step up and drop absolute masterpieces lately, and I want to single out Warhorse Studios in particular for being phenomenal at what Bethesda used to be the best at. But let's not kid ourselves here. There's still a massive hole in the industry that can only be filled with the buggy, unoptimized, but soulful, creative, and awe-inspiring worlds that Bethesda used to make. And it just seems like ever since they started experimenting with live service games and got acquired by Microsoft, they've done a complete 180 away from what made them so special in the first place. Look, I don't claim to know the issue here. I'm not going to lie and tell you that if ZeniMax never got bought out by Microsoft, that we'd already be playing Fallout 5 and The Elder Scrolls 6. But I do know that the end results, that the products of their recent efforts have been a complete miss for almost a decade now, and it pains me greatly to say this. Like I said, I hate to love this game studio, and honestly, I feel like they should pay me for still defending them after Starfield dropped to all my friends. I acknowledge this eagerness to see a multi-million-dollar company succeed is largely fueled by nostalgia, but man, you just had to be there to understand the hold their games had on me and everyone else. In a dark room at 1:30 in the morning, finally completing the Dark Brotherhood questline, just to encounter some of the coldest dialogue you've ever heard from Titus Mead II. And then you flash forward to Starfield, where I honestly can't remember one piece of dialogue from any of the characters in the entire game. I mean, not a single line of dialogue stuck with me. And it's not even the big things like dialogue options, characters, and things of that nature with interactable personalities. It's also the little things, like guards don't react when you take your weapon out. There's nothing like that. You can't just do things like you did in Fallout 4 and Skyrim, where it's kind of this open world where you get to decide what you're doing on any particular playthrough. No, in Starfield, it's very, very vanilla. It's extremely generic. And honestly, it is beyond belief how bad it has gotten. You know, I've been hunting for a reason to be optimistic about the future of Bethesda games because I have enjoyed their past titles so much, but I just can't justify it anymore. It took them 8 years between Fallout 4 and Starfield, right? Well, Warhorse Studios, it took them exactly the same amount of time between KCD 1 and KCD 2. The difference, though, is Warhorse has half the amount of staff as Bethesda, and they don't have Microsoft-level resources to throw at their projects. It's gotten to the point where I'm halfway expecting to just open up YouTube one day and see a thumbnail and a title that says, Nick Shirley exposes the fraud at Bethesda Game Studios. I mean, if these guys were trying to reenact the bureaucracy of our federal government here in the US, they'd be absolutely killing it right now. They're doing a phenomenal job at not doing anything and having an inverse relationship between resources and output. And then Todd Howard comes out and says, hey, The Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be on the Creation Engine 3, as if this piece of information is what we've been waiting to hear for all these years. No. No. We play these games despite how poorly they run. We don't play Fallout 4 and Skyrim because they're technical masterpieces or because they're optimized on every possible PC hardware configuration. We play them despite of that because the characters are interesting, the story is compelling, there's interesting dynamics and decisions to be made and explored in depth. We don't play these games for a technical masterpiece. We play these games because they're artistically driven and they're compelling narratives. And it's the same exact reason why Disney can spend over $500 million on The Rise of Skywalker and people still prefer the original Star Wars trilogy. It's the same exact thing. It's all these people sitting in boardrooms that don't understand what the consumer wants. And it feels like there's this false choice of like, okay, are video games an art form or are they just a product where the only thing that matters is your sales margins and how much profit you're making, when in reality, if you make good art, money will naturally follow. And the thing that makes this so frustrating, so sad, so tragic is that Bethesda used to understand this. They used to operate under this paradigm. They used to say, okay guys, let's make a good game. And now, ever since like 2014, 2015, whenever Fallout 4 came out, they've just been calling it in. They've been incredibly lazy. It's almost like they all got together in a boardroom and said, hey guys, we need to pump out another single player game so that way our overlords at Microsoft will be happy and we can make Bill Gates another gajillion dollars. What should we do this time? Maybe we can be the chosen one but in space this time. Maybe that'll meet profit margin expectations. And then when people realize we've made a horrible game, what we can do is we can bicker with them in Steam reviews and make some weird connection to, oh, well, since actual space is kind of empty and boring, our game is also allowed to be empty and boring. Because what are consumers paying $70 for if it's not boring emptiness? And look, I wish I could give you guys more fuel for optimism here, but there's genuinely nothing Bethesda has done over the last decade to inspire any kind of confidence. I mean, as far as I can tell, Bethesda is perfectly content with just sitting back and riding that wave of notoriety they made back in the 2000s, back in the early 2010s, and just riding that out indefinitely so they don't actually have to do any real substantial work. And look, I would love to be wrong about this. I would love for The Elder Scrolls 6 to come out and have it be the best game I've ever played in my life. I personally just can't find any reason to believe that's going to happen. With that being said, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. If you made it this far in the video, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, and liking the video as it does help the channel. Until next time.